Hello, Tri-Cities, and welcome to the 2025 Vote for Business Candidate Forum. It is the region-wide business-focused conversation brought to you by the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce and Apple Valley News Now. I'm Austin Reed from ABC's Apple Valley News Now. I'm the evening anchor. Please join me weeknights at 5, 6, and 11. Ballots begin arriving as early as October the 15th, and Election Day is Tuesday, November the 4th. Thank you so much for joining us to hear directly from our candidates today on issues that affect our local economy and the business community. We have reviewed the ground rules with each of our candidates, and they will have 1 minute for opening and closing statements and 2 minutes to answer each question. There are no rebuttals. We will alternate who answers first on each question. Our timer will signal when there is 10 seconds remaining. I may step in to help keep us on schedule. As I like to say, without further ado, let's meet our candidates today. In alphabetical order, we are meeting the City of Richland Position 6 candidates. First up, we have Kurt Maier and Kyle Saltz. Thank you both for being here. We will begin now with opening statements. So, Kurt, we're going to start with you. You have 1 minute.
My name's Kurt Maier. I am the current holder of Richland City Council Position 6. Wrapping up my first term here going into this election, and the thing to know about me is I am focused on city business and city code issues. I am constantly talking about zoning updates, which pieces of our code are outdated, which pieces of our code need strengthening. In my time this term, I've served as the liaison for the Code Enforcement Board, which has given me a lot of insight into what our city can be doing better. I'm also the city's appointee as director on the Ben Franklin Transit Board, where it's part of my job to make sure that our transit system is serving the people of the city and getting the money we put into it worth of value. So the primary focus I have is on city business, and I am not a politician. I do not belong to a political party. I never have, and I never will. All I care about here is the City of Richland, and I don't have any kind of weird party machinations telling me what to do. I am instead focused on making sure that the city is a place we want to live and a place we want to do business.
All right, thank you very much. Kyle, you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Thank you very much. My name is Kyle Saltz. I am currentely a Hanford patrolman for the last 8 years, and currently I'm in the Army Reserve as a counterintelligence agent. I served as a counterintelligence agent for over 11 years active duty. I have also currently been elected for the last 11 years to serve as the different leadership positions with the Veterans of Foreign Wars. With that, we help out with scholarships in local communities. We're helping out with veterans from nursing homes, at-risk veterans that are possible homelessness, and as well as meeting the needs of veterans and their families in the local community. Now, that being said, I also work with canine therapy with Love on a Leash, as well as on Cadillac Hospital's newest canine therapist as well. And the same canine works with the VFW. Now, my focus within Richland here is to have positive growth within Richland. And like Kurt, I'm focusing with a lot of the codes, municipal codes, and I've already found and identified several codes that we could do better on, specifically on just how we do business, and just to make it more efficiently. I'm very interested in trying to get with zoning as well, and how we can try to stop some of these impact fees that's impacting our growth and the will and drive to invest and build within Richland. And I hope to continue to serve the people of Richland.
Okay, thank you both. Appreciate it. We are going to move on to our questions today. First question, the topic is supporting existing businesses. Question 1 goes to Kyle. You have 2 minutes. How will you support existing local businesses to help them expand and remain competitive?
Well, one thing I want to do is a great shout out to the Richland Chamber of Commerce. They do an amazing job at identifying and putting out some of these local businesses and showing the community what they can provide. Another way that the city can actually help support these local businesses is, especially if you're trying to start up as a small business, if you're trying to build, there's a lot of impact fees. There's a lot of different rules and regulations, and by advocating the City of Richland try to get out of the way of small businesses to allow them to grow and flourish, not trying to scalp them with impact fees. And also one of the coding things that I've identified is that just for fire systems inspections, we don't have a current person that is qualified to inspect that. Now, these old fees that these local businesses have been doing, that's used to be $45 to $75, and they're paying $400 to $1,500 every 3 months now because we don't have a qualified inspector that could actually do that. Now, because I've been kind of advocating this, the City of Richland is now getting someone that is qualified to do fire suppression inspections, and so that's going to help alleviate some of these businesses. And all it is just the bottom line in helping support these small businesses being able to do their business without trying to nickel and dime them.
Okay, thank you very much. Kurt, same question. You have 2 minutes. How will you support existing local businesses to help them expand and remain competitive?
One of the things that I've been working on since I got elected last time was the issue of parking minimums within the city. Richland City Code, up until these days, mandates parking lot minimums based on both the size of the building and the usage that building is currently serving. So as an example, is a section in the code where you need X parking spots if your business is a restaurant, but you need fewer parking spots if your business is a restaurant that serves pizza, on the idea that pizza delivery doesn't need as much parking. Well, it's the 21st century. Everybody's delivering food now. Why do we have different rules for different restaurants? So another good example, I know of a couple of medical professionals who would have loved to have set up an office in Richland, but they couldn't find a spot, that a commercial building or office that was small enough for their practice, but also included the weirdly large number of minimum parking spaces that class of business requires. I also know of people who have been trying to set up their businesses in existing warehouse buildings, but couldn't because their usage differed from the previous usage of that building, and so they would have had to have paved a bunch of additional land to build parking, and it was cheaper just to go somewhere else. So I've been working really hard. I've got good council consent, and we're looking forward to getting rid of parking minimums in Richland entirely to solve that problem once and for all. There's so much else in the code that's outdated based on 70s or 80s business practices that needs to be updated for the 21st century. And I am picking and shoveling my way through it, working with both city staff and the rest of council to figure out which things we can just shove overboard and which things we can update in order to keep this place thriving going forward.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it. And we thank both of you for these specific examples. Let's continue. We're going to move on now to question number 2. This is in regards to entrepreneurship and startups. We're going to start with Kurt. You have 2 minutes. The question is, what incentives would you support to encourage entrepreneurship and startups?
So that's a complicated issue for the city specifically. The city really needs to be working with professional societies and professional guilds in order to make sure that the incentives that those organizations already provide are available here in Richland. One of the things we kind of don't like to acknowledge is that a lot of the neighborhoods in Richland are sort of isolated from the business districts in Richland, right? And so it's hard to get from one place to another. And one of the things that's been great at working around that is mobile businesses. And so I think that you shouldn't have to save up $500,000 to buy a storefront somewhere in order to start your business. I think that our permitting structure needs to be updated, less focused on the business address and the site of business, and more amenable to people buying a van and starting a mobile detailing company or a mobile electrician service, or we've had a lot of success with food trucks. We need to make sure that our permitting structure acknowledges the fact that we live in the future and you don't need a giant corniced building edifice in order to have your own startup these days. One of my good friends had a mobile bike repair business for years that never required an actual storefront commercial space. And so, especially as Richland deals with the fact that its borders are sort of well-defined and landlocked, we need to make sure that people can still get out there and do good work and thrive without having to get tied to these outmoded sort of anchored real estate issues.
Kurt, thank you. Kyle, same question, 2 minutes. What incentives would you support to encourage entrepreneurship and startups?
Again, the permitting process it's difficult, and it's time consuming, and it's difficult. I've been running a bar and restaurant for the last 11 years. Now, at the end of the day, my profits go into helping the local community. My wife's trying to create very similar. She's trying to create her own business here locally. And what I've found is by going through the different municipal laws, you could have two different people providing the same product, but they have to do two different processes on trying to actually get there with as far as permitting. That you'd think that we would actually have a more updated process in which we could streamline this, where you have both people, they could do the same thing and get to the end product. We don't have this at this time. And so definitely streamline, update a lot of these laws and permitting processes, and also support and educate business owners like, hey, this is how you go through the process. And again, different people will give you different ideas. Well, inspectors, not all inspectors are on the same page when they come to inspect your facility, and they might give you one information, another inspector will say the other. So we need to educate our own people, make sure that we're doing the proper due diligence, that we're putting out the proper information, and support these small businesses. The vending fees are atrocious here in Richland. In fact, the reason why we lost the Renaissance Fair was because the City of Richland was charging too much for the vending fees. These small businesses that are coming in here trying to, they have to pay for the table, and then they have to pay for a City of Richland vending fee, whereas you could go to Kennewick, which that's what happened. We lost the Renaissance Fair, we lost the Civil War reenactments. They went to Kennewick because it was cheaper for the cost of renting the location, and also just the vendor fees in and to itself.
We are going to continue now to question number 3. This is about housing and workforce. And question 3 goes first to Kyle. You have 2 minutes. How will you address housing shortages that make it harder to attract and retain workers?
Well, the key issue with housing and how to attract those type of things is you have to look at what it takes to build a house now in the state of Washington. Last year, compared to this year there's 100 new rules, regulations, and fees. Now, these little fees that we try to nickel and dime investors and builders coming into Richland, that's only going to make people not want to build up here, and not want to invest in Richland. By taking away those fees, not trying to fleece them when they're trying to come in here and build, you'll make more money over time when more people come and live in Richland through just sales taxes and property taxes. Now, you look at why the rent is high, why the housing market's so high. Well, it's because there's a high demand. Well, by allowing people to come in here and invest, you'll get more people to build here. When you have more houses, you'll have more people to purchase these things, and guess what? The cost will go down. Rent will go down when you have more apartment complexes and they have to compete with each other. Now, then again, the cost of building is high because we're trying to do all these impact fees. If we try to reduce these impact fees and make it more profitable for these builders and investors, more people will come to Richland and build. And that's how you'll make more money over time by just allowing people to flourish here in Richland than trying to fleece them coming in.
All right, thank you very much. Kurt, same question, 2 minutes. How will you address housing shortages that make it harder to attract and retain workers?
Sure. One of the ways that I'm working on doing that is by getting rid of those parking minimums once again. Something like 40% of the central business district in Richland is asphalt. And so if we get rid of these parking minimums, then the people who own that land have the opportunity to build mixed-use housing right where people work. And as everyone knows in the real estate business, it's all about location. You want housing, you need to decide where you want to build housing, right? If you want to fix a housing crisis, you need to build places for people to live. If you want that to be efficient, they need to be medium and high density places to live. A careful and considerate approach from the City Council is crucial to making sure that these high density developments happen in the places that are appropriate for the growth of our city, which is why I keep advocating for the Central Business District. Another thing I'm working on is right now in the Research Park area, the limited commercial zone, there's a cap of, I can't remember, 10 or 15% utilization for residential in that area. I think that's inappropriate. The cap needs to go. We need to just mandate mixed use residential in those areas, because you can have offices at the bottom of an apartment complex just as easily as you can have offices and nothing else. So finally, I want to point out that, again, in real estate, the 3 rules are location, location, location. Richland is the place to be. People are gonna build here. It's a good place to live. We're gonna keep it that way. And as long as it stays that way, people are gonna wanna build here. If we start talking about getting rid of impact fees, all that means is all the stuff that impact fee is paying for is gonna turn into a tax on everyone else. I don't wanna start passing new taxes, so we need to keep impact fees.
Okay, appreciate it. And we are now going to move on to the final question. The topic is infill and downtown vitality. Our final question starts
just there.
just in downtown. Well, you can go back there in your mind. Our final question starts with Kurt. You have 2 minutes. What is your position on infill development and revitalizing downtown?
First of all, I don't like the word revitalizing because downtown is always vital. If you don't believe that, show up to the farmer's market on a Friday. Place is packed. Everybody's there. It's great. But I do agree that infill is something that Richland needs to focus on, because so much of our downtown right now is just parking lot, and it doesn't have to be that way. Once we get this parking minimum stuff out of the way, we can start looking at medium density housing in places that used to just be asphalt deserts. We can start looking at higher density builds up in North Richland. We can start looking at businesses who are currently a storefront and a gigantic parking lot turning into a storefront and a mixed use retail and apartment building on the same footprint of land. And that's really where my focus has been as far as trying to fix our current zoning, because a lot of it was written in the 70s and 80s when people did business one way, before there was an internet, before there was this move to mobile. And so we need to update our zoning code so that that infill is managed appropriately, because it's gonna happen one way or the other. You can choose where it happens, or you can leave it to chance. And I don't think Richland deserves random chance here. I think a thoughtful council making sure that the zoning permits or even encourages with tax breaks medium and high density housing in the appropriate areas is the way to move forward.
Okay, Kurt. Kyle, same question, 2 minutes. What is your position on infill development and revitalizing downtown?
It's a great question, because I went and talked to every single business that's in downtown. I run a business in the Uptown. So I've talked to all those people. I'm part of one of the boards over at the Uptown, as well as going down to the old movie theater, or historic movie theater, and talk to all those businesses there. And one of the things they actually support is parking minimums, which is against what Kurt's saying. But the reason why they're against these allowing just open parking is because they don't have enough parking there in the first place in these historic areas. And so if you try to allow parking just to be free access, and you can park as long as you want, you're going to kill every single one of those small businesses, and every single one of them already agreed on that. Because what happened is, you go in there, you do your shopping, you get your lunch, you get your dinner, you do your shopping, you come in and out, it's 2 hours minimum. You allow people to park there all day and then go down to the river, you're going to kill all those businesses, because there's going to be no parking available for them. So they are not for just allowing free access parking. They already have issues right now with some construction groups allowing their workers to park there. So these small businesses are being strangled already. If we just go free access, everyone can park wherever they want as long as they want. You're going to kill these small businesses there, bottom line up front, and they'll tell you to your face. Now, I would love to see more development and maybe a theme come into these historic areas, because, you go to Leavenworth. What's a huge attraction to Leavenworth? You have that Bavarian style architecture. Why don't we have a theme for our downtown area? We have a historic area of Richland, especially the 1950s theme of the area. You look at the Uptown, all the murals that are going up. Let's try to build back an amazing theme for Richland, and so we could, we already have about $4 billion a year in tourism that comes through our area. Let's double down on that. Let's try to create a theme in that area, because we already have the boats that are coming through there, the docks that are going to be remodeled, which is amazing. So tourism is going to be a plus for our area, and let's just try to help revitalize those shopping districts, those marketing districts, and those restaurants, because that is a real hidden jewel in southeastern Washington.
Okay. Thank you both. That concludes our Q&A session. We will finish with closing statements. Because Kurt opened, Kyle, you will close first. You have exactly 1 minute.
Thank you, sir. Again, my name is Kyle Saltz, and I'm running today to help improve our area. I want to revitalize the downtown historic areas, as we talked to in Richland, because I have a footprint there. I run a bar and restaurant there. I want to see that place succeed. I want to see Richland succeed as well, as our small businesses are thriving and we're being strangled by over-regulation and fees. And I'm just so happy to be here, and my focus will be laser focused on serving the people of Richland, and I hope I could do that for you.
Thank you very much. Kurt, your 1 minute closing statement. Take it away.
Well, I'm, as I said, wrapping up my first term in Richland City Council. One of the things I've discovered is that it helps a lot to have a council member who shows up to everything. I really value my time on the Code Enforcement Board, and I really value my time at Ben Franklin Transit. These, I think, are reflective of my wider focus on what's right for Richland. I've been reducing the size of the city code. I've got entire sections of code repealed in my time on this board. There's more of the code that I'd like to get repealed. I think a smaller, leaner city code is the way to go. But on the flip side, there are some other places I'm focusing, like our code enforcement officers need stronger tools, and council needs stronger tools to prevent the development of repeat nuisance code violators in the city. And so if I am reelected, I'm going to focus on housing affordability, thoughtful, considerate siting of higher density housing, stronger enforcement and prevention of nuisance code violations, and finally, getting rid of as much of the city code as I can that's outdated and ineffective. Thanks.
Kurt Maier, Kyle Saltz, we really appreciate both of your time today. This has been the Tri-City Regional Chamber's Vote for Business Candidate Forum, featuring candidates for City of Richland position number 6 as we count down to Election Day on November 4th. Please watch, and most importantly, vote. That's what's most important. You can find this forum and others on the Tri-City Regional Chamber website, which is tricityregionalchamber.com, and on the Apple Valley News Now website, which is applevalleynewsnow.com. On behalf of the Chamber, our candidates today, and the Apple Valley News Now team, I am Austin Reed with Apple Valley News Now ABC. Thank you very much again for joining us, and remember to vote.